What is up, Pod Nation? Welcome to the Podia Slave podcast. My name is Nate, and as always, I'm here with my homies Anthony and Tony. What are you guys doing tonight?
Hey man, how's it going? I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, fellas? It's getting late. Let's get this show on the road, as I say.
Yep, and it was a hypothetical question. What are you guys doing tonight? Obviously, you're hanging out with me. We're hanging out with each other. We're podcasting about nerdery. And I want to give a little thank you to our guest from last week, Ryan Sinnett from the Distillers. He was gracious to lend his time and chat with us on episode 66. So check that out. Super cool interview and just a super nice guy. I mean, I think we always are kind of taken back by the genuine and kind people in the music industry. It's not just Dave Grohl. There's more than Dave. So he was kind. Jump on with us.
Yeah, that was a blast. Go back and peep episode 66. We won't belabor it too much because we talked a ton about it after we had him on last week too. So if you're here because of that, thank you. If you're here because you caught us on the social medias, thank you. If you already follow us there, we thank you for that too. But if you don't, follow us. Like, what are you doing? A, and B, if you do follow us and you know your friend doesn't, like, grab their phone and follow Podia Slave. Like, let's do this. At Podia Slave on Twitter and Instagram. It's time. Show them we're putting content out for you guys every day of the week, whether it be Reels on Instagram, TikTok, with his TikToks. I mean, I'm as snarky and snide on Twitter as the guy from Eve 6. So just have at it. You're going to have a good time. Follow us. All right. At Podia Slave on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email us, podiaslavepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to get the emails. We get them every now and then from fans, listeners, friends alike. So yeah, you hit us up on the email too if you got a question or a segment idea. That being said, let's jump into the set list, boys.
Yeah, so we wanted to start with, as Nate says, a house band. Nate, what does a house band mean? Like, in case no one knows, what is a house band?
Yeah, good call. Full disclosure. If you're new to the podcast, you don't know what a house band is because clearly it's not a house. They're not like playing in the living room for us. House band. Yeah, I wish. Maybe someday. House band on the Podia Slave podcast is basically a band that, like a broken record, we mention almost every episode. For instance, Deftones is one of those bands. Rage Against the Machine falls in that list, amongst many others. So we say house band just because we have a huge admiration for the band, and they get a lot of plugs just out of pure fandom on this podcast.
And Nate would probably kidnap them and keep them in his house if he could.
Yeah, sign everything. I have everything ready.
Well, you've met most of them too. So.
Good amount,
boy.
yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about the Foo Fighters. So Foo Fighters, the headline is what? They held a club show at Club Canyon in Inglewood? Is that where it was?
I believe it was Agora Hills, which is outside of LA.
Oh, it's out of LA. Okay. And there was a protest, right? Anti-vax protest?
Anti-vax protest and Ricky Schroeder, former child actor. And Twan, I'm not going to step on your line. What is the former child actor?
It's a nice way of saying someone's a train wreck, right? I mean,
usually, right? Like,
usually, allegedly.
So yeah, former child actor Ricky Schroeder and a bunch of anti-vaxxers held a protest outside of this Foo Fighters concert. Tiny little venue, I think it's tiny, right? 500 cap, Nate?
Yeah, around that. Yeah,
6. I looked it up.
Tiny venue for the Foo Fighters, certainly, but really anybody. That's not a huge venue to see a band of their ilk. And yeah, it's just people that were mad they couldn't get in because you had to be vaccinated to get in. So leaving the vaccination piece at the door per se, because we try not to get super political here, but if you've got nothing better to do with your life than to go protest outside of a Foo Fighters concert, especially if you're a former child actor, like, what are we doing here? Like, go home, watch whatever you have on Netflix, have your TV dinner, bro, and just relax.
Yeah, the whole COVID vaccine thing is obviously very polarizing. You know, yesterday, the 15th, was also the day that California opened. So it coincided with that. So I think that's why it was of a lot of concern for people that weren't vaccinated or didn't feel like it was necessary, just because it just happened to line up with the day that California opened, regardless of vaccination or not. With that said, it is an indoor venue, in a small venue at that. So, you know, it's kind of holding on to the rules previous, and whether those rules dissipate or not, it's a different situation. But, you know, they're just trying to be safe and make sure that we're at least getting through the next phase. I mean, the other idea would just be not play shows for another year, I guess, you know, something like that. But they've had a record out for 6-7 months now, so they got to play.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, like, obviously the outcome they wanted happened. Like, it got out to everyone. It made news. It was, I mean, we found out about it across the country, Tony and I. So it checked that box. But like, if that didn't happen, why did they choose a 600 cap venue to protest? Like, wait for the arena show. You know what I mean? But I guess they were protesting the whole, you had to have you had to be vaccinated to get in. So I guess I get it. And I mean, I guess I can get behind no protest is too small, but it's just funny that it happened to be a club show.
Totally. It's the whole thing seems like wasted energy though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like maybe just don't protest this one and save your, you save your energy for something a little more productive in the world. But everybody likes to protest, and obviously the vaccine topic is a hot button issue in our country, and we'll leave that alone because it's just not worth it. We're not looking to make headlines that way. But yeah, it's my thought is go find something better to do.
There was part 2 to this protest too, though. Maybe not part of the protest per se, but the tickets went on sale. Like, there was a lineup. There was rules about lining up for the tickets that went on sale at 8 a.m. And there was people that lined up at like 3 a.m. And I think they had sold out of all the tickets from what I read in the comments, basically, in Instagram, Foo Fighters Instagram and stuff, is they had sold out of the tickets by like 7 a.m. So they had disregarded, the venue disregarded their own rules that there was going to be no lineup prior to, the on sale date, time frame and everything. And then they were sold out. So everyone that like waited in line or adjusted their schedules to get tickets were kind of locked out. So there's also that part of it too. And that's not a part of the protest, just people that were disgruntled about the whole show in general.
It could be a mix, right? It could have been some of those people mixed in with, who's it, Schroeder?
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah,
Ricky Schroeder.
And you know what? It does say former child actor in a lot of the headlines, but he was an adult actor too. He was on Scrubs. He was on NYPD Blue. Like, he's been on some shit. Like, he's not just a child actor. He started there, I guess.
But it's funny how that sticks with him, and it's unfortunate, because I'm sure it's not just in acting, probably music and all that stuff. But
yeah, former child star. Whenever you see a headline like that, like Twan said, it's a little like,
yeah, always.
What happened?
Exactly. Corey Feldman did what now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was interesting. We liked that one. We wanted to talk a little about that because obviously, as Nate said, they're a house band, a Foo Fighters house band for us. So, and it's a show that I would have loved to have been at, right? I mean, a tiny room to see the Foo Fighters. Fuck, man.
Yeah, I really wanted to go. I thought about it. long and hard. I wasn't going to go there and get the tickets in the morning, but I was going to try to see if I could get a scalp ticket or sneak my way in somehow. And then,
as you do.
We're old now, so I'm like, I don't have the energy to go do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, kudos to them for still playing shows that small. They never lost sight of that. You see headlines of them and playing in a garage and stuff like that. I mean, we've talked about it before, but hey, they're still doing it. You can't take that away from them, no matter how big they've gotten. And I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, totally. And one of these days, maybe they will play in our garage or our living room, Nate, and there will be a literal house band for us.
Oh man, dreams come true.
If you're listening, Dave, hook us up, man.
Do us a solid.
What's next? We another one.
Yeah, we're gonna do talk about some new music that hit some headlines.
I like this.
Yeah, not the actual music itself, just the announcement. It kind of confirms what we've been talking about through this whole podcast. It's like people are in lockdown. They ain't touring. They must be making music. And I think it's coming true. So a few pretty big, not necessarily house bands, maybe a couple of them, but let's start with Slipknot.
They're probably a house band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Slipknot, it was announced that they confirmed new album 2021, their last album on Roadrunner. Any other details that I missed?
No, I think that Clown was the one that confirmed it, right? Sean Crahan.
I'm not sure.
I think it was Clown, yeah. And he also, didn't he launch like some weedery too, some weed business as well at the same time?
Well,
I mean, it makes sense. Like, hey, new Slipknot album, check out my weed company, guys.
I know, right? What bigger, you can't get much bigger headline than that.
Smart move, dude. Smart move.
What do you think, Nate?
No, you're right. I mean, they had dropped an album before COVID, right? So, I mean, hypothetically, had COVID had the pandemic not happened, they would still be on the touring cycle for that album release. And I wonder if this album that they're writing or that they're putting out, maybe it would have never happened. It seems like it's a logical progression. So now they're going to be doing a whole new touring segment on this new album, which is kind of cool. I can't help to think, all the merchandise, all the promotion that went into the last album, do they just, kind of like the t-shirt thing we talked about before, does that stuff just get reprinted and scrapped and we'd start over with a new album promotion because it's a whole new tour cycle, it's a whole new theme, possibly. It can get complicated.
They probably bring some of that with them, and I'm sure. I mean, I think we all loved "We Are Not Your Kind," which came out in 2019.
Yeah,
and that stuff's probably still selling okay on the website and whatever because the album was good, good to great. Really, I thoroughly enjoyed that record from them. So it's a good question, Nate, because you're right. You gear up, you put an album up, you gear up for this massive for Slipknot because they are big. This massive tour, and you don't get to do it because of COVID. And a lot of bands were stuck in that situation. The good thing for bands like Slipknot is they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't make the money that they would have made last year, but they're probably okay. They're still doing stuff, making music, and getting ready for another album release.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I saw them in 2019, and I think it was just after the album dropped, so they got to taste that album live a little bit. But Nate, I'm thinking about something you just said, which is, had the pandemic not hit, this album might not have happened. And to me, "We Are Not Your Kind" feels like a send-off album. Like if that was their last album,
yeah,
it wouldn't. I'm not saying they like made it like that, but like that's a good album to go out on.
Totally.
I feel like. So who knows? I mean, we could speculate. Although I read a headline today about them that they have 2 albums worth of material ready to be released.
Wasn't one of them like a Radiohead-esque, like trippy?
That might be one of them.
Yeah.
Unless
I think we talked about that last
Yeah.
summer. And I think we talked about that one last summer. So
We did. Yep.
So I mean, I'm here for that too, just because we love all things music. So we would definitely check that out.
Yeah, I think this is a real cause and effect for Slipknot because Corey obviously has his solo thing. He's got Stone Sour. And I wonder, I mean, he put Stone Sour on indefinite hiatus. So it's almost like maybe they were going to do a send-off in Slipknot, and then the pandemic happened. They're like, well, we're getting pretty old. Let's just block out the next 6 years for Slipknot, drop 3 albums, tour the hell out of it, and then call it a day. Because Stone Sour is always going to be there. Solo thing's always going to be there. But like they can't, I mean, playing in Slipknot, I think Sean or Clown, I think he's in his 50s, right? Like I just can't imagine playing that kind of music at that age. It must be nuts.
I mean, you look at the Metallica machine. The Slipknot machine probably it's not as big as the Metallica machine. I'm not saying that, but it's not small. They make news everywhere they step. Corey especially, as well as being popular still with putting out records and music. The music is good, so like why not continue to milk that cow if you can.
So what do we think? Fall release date or? Q4?
Yeah, I bet that's like a late August, early September type deal. Yeah,
that's not too far away.
It's not. It might be a little later than that, but they probably want to make sure they can get shows on it. So maybe it'll be a little later.
Yeah. Well, when you said that you went to the show promoting the last album, Twan, I was like, shit, I missed that tour cycle. And now it's this new tour cycle. It's almost like missing Fast and Furious 2, but now Fast and Furious 3 is coming out. It's like, oh, cool. I'll go to this then.
3.
I don't know
the worst of the Fast and the Furious.
Not a great analogy. Damn.
No, not a bad one. Just that was the worst one. I think, in my opinion, I could be. I mean, who knows? It has some cool moments. When Vin Diesel, spoiler alert, when you see Vin Diesel right at the end, you're like, oh wow, it's all tied together. Cool.
He spoiled it for me. Come
Sorry,
on,
man. Sorry.
Hey, is it Ludacris? The song "Too Fast, Too Furious"?
Yeah, that might have been the second movie, and he's been in a bunch of them. Who knows? Luda. I have Luda thoughts that might come up later. Who knows? We had a couple other Thrice. They were another band that kind of teased new music. They've been teasing stuff on Twitter and Instagram for a little while now in the studio, tracking stuff. And they put a little short video out. When you're seeing this, probably 4 or 5 days ago now. And I mean, I'm super excited for new Thrice. So I don't know, you guys. You must be also excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I did. You sent me that teaser. And if I'm remembering correctly, it had a date of the 18th, June 18th. So do we think that's a song or further details, or Do we know?
I think we'll get. I mean, that's
Or is that the surprise drop, you know?
wouldn't that be something if Friday the 18th the album just came out? Now, if you're hearing this, it's already dropped or not. So
All right.
disregard our conversation speculating around it. But man, I hope so. I hope I've been cranking Thrice all day yesterday and the day before.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Thrice. They're one of those bands that, like, in terms of creative energy during the pandemic, like, they're already so creative that I can only imagine on lockdown that they probably put together some pretty cool, melodies. And just, I mean, Dustin's such a cool lyricist. I can only imagine they could do, like, I feel like they could put out multiple albums just with their bandwidth, So I'm stoked for that. I feel like they could write the soundtrack for the pandemic easily.
Yeah. So the last thought I had on the Thrice thing is, like, I don't even know what Thrice we're going to get. And that kind of excites me because I like every era of Thrice. I like some eras more. Could they return to the album that came out 5 years ago, that sound, or are they going to slow it down? And it could go either way, just given the pandemic and the vibes and whatnot. So either way, I'm here for it. I'm excited for the 18th. We'll see what happens. If you're listening now and you like Thrice, you already know. So
Hell yeah, I'm excited. We're excited.
So there's one more headline, which was our artist, which was Code Orange is working with Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins on a new album. So I think what he said was he's excited. This is from Bilko. I'm excited to share that I've been working with Code Orange on some of their blistering new songs, which is a funny way to put it.
Bill Code Orange, baby.
Bill Code Orange. Brilliant. You heard it here first. Tony coined it. You're now going to use it. Thank us. Bill Code Orange.
I don't want to wait for this to drop. I'm tweeting it out right now.
He might steal it from you.
I don't care. That'd be awesome.
Whatever. He liked one of our posts, so that's cool.
He did. Yeah, we did talk to Billy. That was great.
So I have a thought on this. So when I first saw this, I was like, that's an interesting combination. But then I realized, as we discussed in the previous episode with Billy Corgan, is he's big into wrestling, and Code Orange has a strong tie and association to professional wrestling. That has to be the connection. And I know like Code Orange has covered Down in a Hole, Alice in Chains, so they're obviously 90s fans, and so maybe they're big fans of Billy, and there was some connection there. Either way, it's cool. Who knows how much influence Billy's going to have on the music? I don't know. I don't even know what capacity he's working with him on. Vocals, production, who knows? It's
a great question. A great thing to think about, because it could be wildly different than what they've done, and that'd be kind of exciting. But at the same time, like, getting Billy's 30 years of expertise into the mix just to kind of help with what they're doing, and kind of steer the ship a little bit, but not really, and just be that kind of guiding hand. That'd be fun too. So it's an interesting pairing, and I'm excited. I'm here for Bill Code Orange. That's for sure.
Should trademark that. I know that he worked with Taproot on Blue Sky Research, Billy Corgan.
Yep. Nice.
And I can kind of hear that sound in a few of the songs.
Underrated Taproot record, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Totally. So, maybe it does steer them into that direction, I don't know, lyrically or instrumentally or whatnot. I think you're probably right, Twan. It probably is the connection on the wrestling thing, just like some common ground, like, hey, I'm a fan too. Let's work together.
Yeah. I mean, that's his side hustle, right? We talked about side hustles.
I was trying to think of the name.
Oh, yeah.
Can't knock the side hustle. I don't remember the episode number. Sorry.
I'm surprised.
Me too.
It's in the 50s.
But 3 heavy hitter bands: Slipknot, Thrice, Code Orange, and that's probably tip of the iceberg. And I think that's what we're going to get late this year into early next year, because I'm sure some artists might hold out until maybe the spring, so that it's a full U.S. tour and they can do the festival circuit and all that. Yep. So.
All right, Nate, tell us about the last setlist item, because you were the one that brought it up to us, and it was something that you've been kind of thinking about beforehand.
Yeah, well, this is something I thought of way back in the day. I was like a teenager, like, oh man, it'd be so cool to see like one of my favorite bands, like Pearl Jam, for instance, like to see them do a residency, but instead of doing a residency at like a stadium or arena, to kind of like go through like the crescendo of venues in that market. So for Boston, for instance, like play Paradise, or I guess Axis back in the day, and then play like Orpheum, and then play the Garden, and then play like Fenway, something like that. And I always thought that'd be a cool idea. Like, oh man, if I was in band or if I was in some kind of management situation, I would pitch this to every artist that is deserving of it. And now there's a band that's doing it. And I saw it today. I'm like, no way. Like, this is crazy. But, you know, speaking of bands worthy of doing so, I don't know about that. But I mean,
yeah, it's 21 Pilots. He's talking about 21 Pilots. They're doing this
yeah,
in a couple of different big cities around the country, which, I mean, it's interesting. The idea is interesting. And I like, if you're a huge fan of a band and they're playing in your city or close to your city and you can get to it, you know, however way, and they're doing 4 nights and they're building up to bigger venues as they go, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to go ahead and say Nate trademarked it first. So, you know, 21 Pilots, you want to kick him some cash for the idea, you should. But yeah, it's an interesting thought. And, you know, it'd be awesome to see some of those big bands in those small venues, as we talked about with Foo Fighters, and then building up to that massive show at the Garden or Fenway or the Forum in LA, et cetera, et cetera. So exciting stuff.
No, I think it's cool. And I was thinking about it. You obviously have to be an arena level band to do this, right? And you have to go backwards, you know. Obviously, Code Orange couldn't, you know, they're pretty much a club band. They couldn't do this. So there's only a certain subset of bands that could do it. And then there's only a certain sub amount of bands that would do it. So I will commend them on that they will do it. I never really got into them. Probably haven't heard enough. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But I think Foo Fighters would do this. Pearl Jam, I think, has that makeup to do it. You know, who else is Kings of Leon? Someone like that, I think, would do it.
I mean, yeah. House band Rage Against the Machine would be fucking awesome.
Oh, I would be there for
and
sure.
I can see them doing that in big cities around the country as like hey, we're back, guys. We're going to play a small venue. We're going to play a middling venue. We're going to play a huge venue. And then we're moving on to the next city. Deal with it.
A scalper's dream, too.
Oh, my God, right?
The secondary market. Oh, those club shows would go for obviously more than the arena show. Like probably front row arena shows. I mean, what is it, Paradise Rock Club?
Yep.
Is where 21 Pilots are playing. Those are going to be like $500 probably.
Yeah.
Or they'll sell them all to the verified fan and they'll be quadruple that.
Oh man.
Oh, sorry, I can't talk about that. I get yelled at on YouTube when I talk about that shit.
Sell out.
I was thinking about the ticketing situation on this. If I were to be in a management situation, I would put this together as a package deal, probably not as a surplus VIP thing, but more like this is for the fans. You know, you can buy all the shows in a set, basically, like collect them all. You know what I mean? Go to the club show, take the whole week off, go to the arena show at the end. You know, it's one set price, like a festival. You know what I mean? Like you get a value out of it, and it's not resale market. You're in line, the digital waiting room or whatever, and you can go to them all instead of like, oh, we got locked out of the Paradise, at least you can go to the Orpheum. That's the way I would do it. You know, ideally as a fan, but also if I was in a situation of power where I could make that decision, just because it's like, well, the fans want to be at all of them. Diehard fans for bands that are going to pull something like this off, like they want to be at all of them. You know, you want to collect all. So that would be cool. Another thing I was thinking about is the logistics.
Well, can I comment on that real quick though?
Yeah.
I got just a quick thought. I don't think 21 Pilots has been around long enough and has a deeply entrenched fan base to do this that way correctly. Just throwing that out there. I'm not a huge fan of the band. It is what it is, but they're also not a legacy band like Pearl Jam or the Foo Fighters that's been around forever and can pull this off. So I'm kind of interested to see how, you know, if you're a 21 Pilots fan, you're probably 10, 15 years younger than me. And are you going to go to 4 nights? A, you put on the money, and B, you may not be interested in seeing them 4 nights in a row. So just throwing that out there.
No, good call. Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect of it. And you're right. I think all three of us aren't really fans. I mean, I only know a song, so they could be amazing, and I just don't know. This is another one of those, like, pull up the Spotify. What do they have, like 3 million listeners a month, something like that. But what I was saying is logistically, I wonder how they must have got the lock on these venues, you know, in 2019, because it must be a feeding frenzy to get, you know, a show date in general. We had Lauren Wayne on from the State Theater. She's like, yeah, there's, you know, certain, you know, priorities, and there's certain, you know, what do they call it? What you say, reserves or something on certain slots.
Yep.
And they come and they go. So for them to essentially take all the venues in the market must be a pretty high bidding war. So,
but it's only for a couple
I'm
of
surprised
days.
Yeah, but still, they do it in multiple markets and get them all.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I hear you, but
That's
I
a
think
good
again,
point.
like it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they're gone, and on Thursday they're at the one venue, so like the other venues can still be having things. You know what I mean? Like it's not
That's
that
true.
big of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. They are the premier venues for that market, though. So it's like if a
Yeah.
band's rolling through, it's like, oh, we would do the arena, but it's taken by 21 pounds. So you know what? We're going to do a club show. Oh, shit, they got that too. I guess we're going to skip this city this round, you know?
I mean, that's only if they're there the same exact time. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think you're like, oh man, there's 4 venues and all these bands are trying to get into these 4 venues and there's nothing else. Like there's plenty of other places for people to play. So it is obviously the big venues in those big cities. And hey, they have almost 23 million listeners a month on Spotify. So joke's on us, I guess.
That's nuts.
Well, the other thing to think about is they're not doing 4 nights they're only doing it in select cities. So,
Right.
And they're not like there's in the city it's sequential.
Yep.
But from stop to stop, there's time in between. So I think it lends itself to, probably not a big deal. But to get back to what you're saying, Nate, there's also nothing that would stop a scalper from putting a 4-show package on the secondary market too. You know what
totally.
I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
They may already be up. Who knows?
Don't put it out there.
Hey, it's happening whether or not we say it. So
Yeah, it's true.
But I love the idea. Like it's
I know they have 23 million listeners a month on Spotify, but I think it's those younger. It's a younger generation of kids following them, and I think they might go to 1 show or 2, maybe. I mean, it's a lot to go to 4, and it's a lot of money to go to 4. It's a lot of effort to go to 4. It's a lot of time. It rearranges a week for you. Like, what 23-year-old or 24-year-old is rearranging their? They don't know what they're doing tomorrow. I didn't know what I was doing tomorrow when I was 23 right now. So to be like, oh yeah, I'm following 21 Pilots in Boston or in Atlanta or whatever. I don't think that they have it. A, they have enough music, and B, they have enough attention span in their fans to pull this off. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think what you're saying is they're not worthy. They're not worthy to get all the venues, because at the end of the day, like this venue/residency thing is really a nerdery thing, because venues, the club shows especially, it's such a there's such a nerd aspect associated with that. It's like, oh nice, I'm seeing him at the Orpheum Theater, this is insane in Boston, I'm seeing him at the Axis in Boston, amazing, I'm seeing him at the Garden, amazing. So we always talk about it on here. It's like the venue is half the experience, just to be in a room, especially when you've never been in before. Like I'm still crossing stuff off lists out here that I've just never seen in the inside of the building. So
yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. The idea is great, and more power to them if they can pull it off. And obviously, somebody thinks they can because they're doing it. So maybe the tickets will sell well, and they'll have all 4 of these venues packed full in all these cities. 6 or 7 cities when the time comes.
Yeah, I would think so. If it was just 1 stop in Boston, they would probably sell out the Garden. I would think there with that many listeners.
Yep.
And then, no, the fact that there's other shows, is that going to impact that? Probably not. But yeah, I'm here for it. I hope other bands do it. It's a logistical nightmare, I can imagine, like you're saying, Nate. But
yeah,
hey, joke's on me because a lot of people like them.
Yeah, well, and it's probably not bad for the band, especially if they're a band of that size, because like we talked about with Greg a couple weeks back, if you just wake up and you're in the city and you don't have to worry about like rushing to get there the next day and then get to wherever for sound check, nah, man, you're already there. You just got to go across town to the venue. You wake up and you can have your, kind of relaxing. I'm in Boston for 4 days. I'm in Chicago for 4 days, and not worry too much about getting up early and rushing to the next place. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, the real thing I was thinking about with this whole residency and multiple venues is just really just the opportunity to play songs you don't really hear often, B-sides, maybe soundtrack songs, kind of like our segment tonight.
Oh, is that a segue?
Oh, it's a segue.
The Segway King is back, folks.
I love it.
You heard it first. MTV News, Gideon Diego. Let's go.
Yeah. Boy, all Nate needs is that hat with the little thing that says news in it.
I'm down.
And that is a callback to episode 27 with Ian Robinson. Go listen to that. It was fun. You'd like it.
He was awesome. MTV VJ from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool segment. Who came up with this idea? Was it you, Tom?
I think it was me.
Was not
Was it
me.
you, Tom? Nice. Yeah, can you elaborate? I'm kind of
So
curious.
there are many times that I'm thinking to myself, man, I love this band and they put this random song out and it doesn't get enough love because it wasn't on an album. Maybe it was on a soundtrack. Maybe it was on an EP. Maybe it was just a standalone. We make the rules, so it doesn't matter where it came from, but it wasn't on an album proper, and that's going to be kind of the theme of our songs here. So they could have come from anywhere, and they're songs that we all like/love that probably feel didn't get the due they should have because they were never either released as part of a collection of songs on an album or put out in front a little bit more than they should have been. They probably should have been out there more. So that's my spiel for the songs that are on that aren't on an album. I'm not sure what we're gonna call the segment, but that's it.
Bill Code Orange. No.
Strokes of genius from Tone. Sometimes not so much, but it happens.
Can I start us off?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
And I'm going to start us off with a bang, a big bang. So,
Wow,
Hype City, baby, hype
there's
City.
there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. So we're all music nerds. We know a lot. Like we said, 20 plus years, shows, music, collecting, listening. But there's certain times where some things slip by me. And this one, I got to come clean, guys, didn't know existed till today.
Wow.
Whoa.
And if this one got by you guys, then I don't know, we struck out. Hopefully one of you guys made contact on this one. 90s OG. I'm going to tease it. 90s OG.
Okay,
I already like it. Okay. Go on.
1994 movie soundtrack.
okay.
Ooh, 94. I think I know.
The original Crow soundtrack.
Oh,
Ooh,
no.
Okay.
The song title is Darkness.
I don't know it.
I don't know this either.
Wow. All right. Then I feel better. Well, you might know it, but Rage Against the Machine.
What?
Yeah.
All right, I didn't know they were on
really?
the Crow. Huh.
The
Holy
original.
crap.
So like
Damn.
the second Crow had like Deftones and a few other bands, but yeah, Rage Against the Machine, Darkness. I found out about this today. I was just how I approach this segment is I'm gonna look up my favorite bands, see what's not on album, right? So this, I guess, I read a little about it. I guess this song was originally an Inside Out song, Zach's first band. It made Rage's demo. They redid it. It was actually called Darkness and Greed. It was on Rage's original demo. Never made the self-titled album. They re-recorded it for this soundtrack. And when I saw this, I was like, I don't think this is real. What is this?
Right.
So I listened to it, and I listened to it like 3 times today, and it has self-titled vibes more than Evil Empire or Battle of LA or Renegades. But it's really good. It starts off really slow, and you're like, is this Rage? And this was an Inside Out song at the start, but you guys will really dig it, and it should have been on self-titled. It's up to par with those songs. That makes me feel really fucking good that you guys aren't familiar with this. Was this on Live and Rare? Was it on Live and Rare?
I mean, so the name sounds familiar, but I don't think I've heard it. But if I play it, I might know it. The only reason I think I might have heard it is because in the Napster days, I would just download everything from said band. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And maybe I wouldn't even get to songs or whatever. At least I would have it, kind of thing. So that's why I feel like I may have heard it, but it doesn't ring a bell, and I definitely didn't know it was on a soundtrack. So I'll have to play it later and circle back to you. But I want to say, quite honestly, that I have not heard this song, and I'm surprised it made a soundtrack because if they're anti-corporate, right? I mean, they did the whole Godzilla soundtrack, and that was pretty sly on them to hide, Godzilla pure motherfucking filler in the soundtrack song, which is a big fuck you to the
No Shelter. Great. No Shelter is the impetus for this segment.
It was.
I was like, oh man, that's such a great Rage song, and it's not on an album. So that's why that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, well, that was the clue in the group text. I was like, wait a second, let me just understand what this segment's about, and that was
the perfect way to explain it. That's why.
That was the example. I was like, oh, perfect. I get it now. But no, I didn't know about this. I didn't even know they did any other soundtrack. So this is all news to me.
I mean, I don't know how we went 25 years and never knew this.
the dumb thing is I've spent time with the Crow soundtrack because I know Dead Souls by Nine Inch Nails is on that. So I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that was on there. There's a Cure song. There's a Stone Temple Pilots song. There's a obviously Rage, Rollins, Violent Femmes.
Oh, Pantera covered
Pantera, yeah, yep. Poison
Idea on that. So
it's a fairly big soundtrack. The fact that it kind of missed all three of us is very. I think our nerd cards are getting revoked.
I know.
Boys.
I'm like, what?
Damn.
I almost didn't do it because I was embarrassed. I'm like, wait.
I'm turning the mic off. I'll see you guys in the next life.
But so here's the thing: is if this song sucked, I wouldn't have brought it would have kind of fit the whole non-album thing, but it wouldn't have fit the really good. It's like good song that should have made an album, and this one should have made self-titled. I just don't know when it was actually recorded. It's probably after, but it sounds just like self-titled era because that album came out in '94. Yeah, the Crow soundtrack came out in '94.
Yep.
I'm so interested in the backstory as to how it even made it onto a major motion picture without them slamming the motion picture itself. Pure
maybe
grade style. Yeah, maybe they did. Yeah, maybe there's some subliminal message in the song. We didn't. Did you hear anything, Twan? Did you hear any fuck the Crow?
No. And they were younger too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, that's starting us off with a bang. Hopefully it lives
That is starting us off with a bang. Yeah, it's starting us off with a bang. It makes me reevaluate my existence as a Rage Against the Machine / purveyor of nerdery. I apologize to all of the people listening right now for us not knowing that. All three of us didn't know. That's crazy. But that's a great call. Good bet. Good one to start us off with here.
They're no longer a house band. Sorry.
Yeah, our bad.
Man.
Our bad.
I'm ready for the YouTube comments. Patio slave, more like poser slave.
Oh yeah, we're posers, man. We don't know anything about anything. All right, Nate, what you got?
Ooh, nice. This is the first time in a long time that I have a ton of songs. I went from nothing to I don't know. This is gonna be really hard for me. I wrote down a ginormous list. So I'm also gonna go with a house band. I think, yeah. This one I discovered on a live album, so it has no proper. You already know what it is?
I know it.
No, go ahead, but I think I already know it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Bought this live album as an import, and it was on there, and I was like, this song's amazing. I can't believe this isn't on anything, anywhere. I couldn't find any information on it. You said you know it? What is it?
No, I need more hints. Maybe I don't. Keep going.
Oh. Yeah, so I bought this double album, and it's buried in there. It's got an amazing opening, soothing riff, very John Frusciante-esque because it's John Frusciante. It's Red Hot Chili Peppers. The song is Leverage of Space, and it's just another one of those perfect front to back songs by the group. And I want to say it's a B-side, but it's not on any release except for this live album.
Hyde Park?
Hyde Park, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just remember the first time I bought this album, I just was collecting anything by the band. This is another one of those imports back in the day on CD only. I think it was $45 or something like that. Pretty expensive.
I owned it too.
Yeah. And so I would play it through. I always love live albums, so this was a good one. And then when it came to this song, I was like, when you're driving or whatever, you're kind of like, wait, what is this? I don't know this. But it reminded me of why I love John Frusciante so much, because just the riff alone, just his guitar playing alone, kind of puts you in a daze. And so ever since I was wondering, I wonder if they'll, add this to something else. I mean, it was on the By the Way. No, I think it was on the Stadium Arcadium tour cycle. So I want to imagine that it was maybe a B-side from those sessions, but I'm not entirely sure.
I have a story about, we listened to this a lot. Nate, when you lived out at the beach, and I was there most nights because I was the fourth roommate that didn't actually live there because it was just close by and I could come hang out and go back to where I was living. But we would listen to this record all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
We'd listen to live records all the time. This was one of them. We'd listen to, I think I ripped a Radiohead Boston show from FNX or something. I found an online version of it and downloaded the whole thing. It was played on the radio, and we would rock out to that. Just bootleg shit that has, as Ryan said last week in our interview with him, from the cease and desist pile. Just stuff that we shouldn't have had our hands on. But this was one that you could buy, and was an awesome record. I got to go back and listen. It's been so long, but yeah, man, Frusciante's so good, and they were so good at this time. That's a good call. That's great.
One comment about the cease and desist pile is you can still call it the CD pile.
That's true. Great call, man.
Stroke of genius, baby.
So many.
I don't know this song, and I don't even think if I heard it, I don't think I would know it. So for someone that has never heard it, is this Californication-esque, or is this Blood Sugar Sex Magic funk type of RHCP?
Neither. It's actually, I'd say, in the vein of By the Way,
Nice.
in terms of the song progression and just the beautiful landscape that it kind of paints. But it's got to be from the recording sessions of Stadium Arcadium. But it sounds like it's from the By the Way. So, I mean, it could be either or, right? And I'm sure the band has mounds of B-sides that they just haven't released.
Yep. Doesn't this make you wonder? Just like,
yeah,
how many other darknesses out there are there out there? How many of this song? You know what I mean? It's got to be dozens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And I always wonder why they're never released. I mean, we'll buy them, or stream them or whatever it is.
Nerds will buy. Yeah, nerds will do it.
Yeah, we'll buy this. Like, speaking of record store day that just passed, like, press just a B-side album every, record store day. We'll eat it. We'll eat that shit up. So
it happens twice a year. Although, I mean, with COVID, it's happened 3 or 4 times a year. So yeah, we will.
Yeah,
I'll go again in July. I'll go again in the fall. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, I can only equate it to what we do, and it's like, I wouldn't want our B-sides out. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
right.
like
Yeah.
those are for us.
That's a good point. But I mean, hey, if you're playing it live, then you like it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Right.
I know. I almost wonder why they played it live. Like, a lot of times bands will play B-sides in soundcheck, which I think is kind of cool. I mentioned Pearl Jam earlier. They do a lot of that. They have a whole B-side double album, and they'll play, B-sides and rarities in their soundcheck. So if you're a fan, you'll be outside of the venue and get to kind of like get a glimpse of what that would be like live, which is kind of cool. But they actually added this in the set at Hyde Park, which is obviously a huge place to just try out a song.
Well, and for a live album, like that they released.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So they must love it. Yeah. Good point on both fronts.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I was going to say that to one, like, there's definitely, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but there's no proper recording of the song. It's just that live track. And I couldn't find it anywhere else except for that live concert recording. So it's too bad, but
For the nerds.
For the nerds.
for the nerds,
All right, am I up?
You're up.
you're up.
A lot of hype.
All right, so yeah, I've got a house band, another house band. This song was on a live album as well. This is kind of why the route that I thought you were going, Nate, but it wasn't. The band is somebody we've talked about a ton, obviously.
Saliva.
Yes, Saliva's a house band. You're right. It's here. No, it's not. It's the song is about a former member.
Pearl Jam.
Any guesses? Nope.
Oh, I know what it is.
What is it?
Is it Man Overboard by
It
Blink?
is
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good call. Good
Man
call.
Overboard by Blink 182, which is about their former drummer before Travis Barker, Scott Rayner, right?
Yep.
Not a flattering song, but an awesome song. I mean, if you listen to it, it's catchy. It's like in the heyday of Blink, kind of around the time of Take Off Your Pants Jacket, which just had a 20th anniversary. So it fit for me. It's the history of the band, right? And they threw it on a live album, the Mark Tom and Travis show, and then Greatest Hits too. And it probably would have fit on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Probably might have fit on Self-Titled in a spot if they maybe might have needed to slow it down a little bit for it to fit there. But yeah. It's in that vein, right? It's kind of part of their maturation process as a band. You can hear it. This is like, let's reflect on where we were and what we're doing now. So I think the song's great.
This was on my list of one that, like, an alternate for tonight, that if I didn't do it tonight, I was going to do it maybe the next time we did this.
Yep.
Great song. I think it fits the Toy Patch era more than any other CD.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Any other recording. And it's just a great song. And when bands, I'm trying to think, help me think. When bands release live albums, do they always accompany it with like a single? Because that's what this was. This was to help promote the live album.
I don't think so. I don't think they do they? I mean, occasionally you'll get that, but this is one that I think is one that you can point to is like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the time that here's a single and here's a live record.
Yeah, I think for greatest hits albums, that's definitely the case.
Yep.
Definitely,
Just because you can't just put out another song from the greatest hits as a recycled single. But for a live album, it's actually surprising they did this, but it's probably because all the live material on that live Blink album, which is amazing, is just too explicit for radio play because it's literally just like
It's true.
Right.
There's
That's a
a lot
all
of
over the place.
bombs and yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably a label pressure thing. Like, hey, you got to put out something we can actually promote it with, and it can't be any of this like toilet humor stuff rendition of your regular songs. You know.
That's a good call on the greatest hits. Like, see "Last Dance with Mary Jane" by Tom Petty. Like, one of his biggest songs ever was on his greatest hits collaboration or greatest hits record. So
yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah, I had some thoughts on this song too. One being that we've, discussed with artists, especially off air, like things that can't be discussed and whatnot. And I'm wondering like why this was a single.
That's
based
a humble brag and a half, but I love it.
Yeah. I'm surprised they were able to drop this with an ex-member, because it's kind of, I don't know, throwing the guy under the bus a little bit. And part two of this is, this song, and I love the guy. It's a neighbor of mine, right? Is kind of applicable to Tom DeLonge too, as man.
I thought the same thing listening to it today, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, this song could have been about Tom right now.
Yeah, he's been man overboard many times. So yeah, I was always surprised by that. Like, hey, he's still a buddy, but there was a bad fallout or whatever. But with that said, you do some geeking on Scott and the whole breakup and stuff, and like Scott will say it even in like different things online articles. He self admits like, yeah, I was a mess, I was an alcoholic, and I got kicked out, and it is what it is. So it's at least it's like transparent on all fronts. But still, it was just like the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, this is like really, really blunt. But
I'm trying to think. So this Mark, Tom, and Travis show came out in 2000. Scott leaves after Dude Ranch, but there's an album in between there. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you think they would have put it out on Enema?
Enema, yeah.
Or like not necessarily this song, but a song with that theme.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like maybe they wrote it around then and just didn't release it. Like they've got the new drummer and they're like, hey man, we're gonna write a song about the guy that you're replacing. maybe they held off for a little while and made their own hay. And I mean, smart move because Enema's great and it kind of put them on the map as far as Damn It was the big song to start. Enema's obviously what put them on the map with all the small things and What's My Age Again and Adam's Song, et cetera, et cetera. So. And Travis is, we've talked about this before. I think Travis is the kind of the driving force as to what's made them as big as they were as a band. And still are, but as big as they were when it was the three of them.
So I almost interrupted you because I had an epiphany here. Maybe Scott had sour grapes and he vocalized it to them as a result of the Enema success. So then they were like, all right, we're gonna put you in your place, Scott. Yeah. Conspiracy theories. Hey, maybe we'll have an episode of conspiracy theories someday.
Yeah, maybe.
A great conspiracy. Oh man.
Or just made up storylines.
Yeah.
We could do both. Exactly. Yeah, we could just do like fake headlines. Oh, we've done that. We could do that again though.
It works because a lot of conspiracies are just made up, right? So.
I mean, yeah. If you want to get deep into the weeds about what Facebook is right now, sure.
Yep.
Good pull. And I haven't listened to this song in a few years. I'll probably put it on later tonight.
The live album?
Oh, just the song. Just Man Overboard. I bet it holds up every bit.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah. I listened to a bunch of these today and I was like, wow, I forgot how much I like this song. And there's a reason it's in my library. It's because I like it and it should have been on an album somewhere, that type of thing.
Yep.
All right, Twan, what do you got, man? Number 2.
All right, number 2. And this one kind of fits into the we make the rules and you'll see why.
Fuck yeah.
So obviously, you guys know Roadrunner Records.
Yep.
The second time we brought them up with Code Orange. Obviously, know Roadrunner Records. In 2005, so mid-2000s, they put out an album. The label put out an album called Roadrunner United. Do you guys know that album?
I remember that.
You do?
That was like 2003 to 2004-ish?
It was 2005.
Okay.
I love that. Nate's like kind of here.
Well, I remember because it was when Killswitch was big, and it's
yeah. I know. I'm giving you shit, bro. I love it.
There was a tribute. They promoted that show at the Palladium, I think, with that album release. I think that's what I'm thinking of.
That would probably make sense. Yep, just the timing of it. It was called Roadrunner United: The All-Star Sessions, and the whole premise is they would take a couple members from either current or previous Roadrunner bands, and they would collaborate with other members of either current or former. So it's like, imagine like 15 songs of supergroups,
That's cool. Yeah.
So the song that like I heard it and I was like, when I found out the track listing, I was like, I gotta hear that one. It's a song called No Way Out. It's two dudes from Glassjaw. So it's basically Glassjaw featuring a couple members, but listen to the features. Joey Jordison of Slipknot fame on drums, and Matt Baumbach, I think, of Vision of Disorder, who came up on the Long Island episode. He's on guitar or bass. I can't remember. But so for all intents and purposes, it's a Glassjaw song, and it makes sense why it never was on a Glassjaw album. It made sense why it was never on a Head Automatica album. It's somewhere in between there. Like, I bet this was like Daryl's brainchild, where when this opportunity came up, he was like, that's the place for this. It's more pop than Glassjaw, but it's not as poppy as Head Automatic. It's somewhere in between, and it deserved to be on an album, and I guess this is where it landed. But if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's Daryl. It's like Daryl in a song from all of his projects mixed into one. It's great.
That's awesome. Wow. I mean, I'm down for that for sure. The thing that comes to mind here, and I had this similar feeling in looking up a couple of the songs that I had, there are songs that they kind of are super groupy. They're one-off type deals, and I wish we got a whole album of stuff like that from, it sounds like from this situation with, members of Glassjaw and then the other members coming in. One of mine, same thing. Like, I want a whole album of this song. I don't want just this song. I want all of it. I want you guys to put a 12 or 15 song album out. So that's kind of why this segment was born out. Cause like it needs, some of these songs need to have the light shined on them because they're awesome. And they kind of get forgotten on a compilation or forgotten to time, depending on where they were released or if you can even find them anymore.
Great point. I mean, that's why we're talking about it. And this is a perfect example of that. Like, I bet hardcore Glassjaw fans don't even know the song exists.
Yeah. And showcasing Joey Jordison. I mean, he's one of the best drummers on the planet. He's kind of forgotten now, unfortunately. But I never checked out this album, even though I remember the release and the tribute or the concert promoting it. So I'll have to check this out. Similar to the other one you mentioned, I haven't heard this. So, yeah, my nerd card's getting revoked big today.
Playlist is going to be a lot of fun because like, at least for me, hearing some of the songs maybe I hadn't heard in a while or haven't heard ever, I'm going to try to place like the era of the band, like where this would have fit if they chose to put it on an album, that type of thing. But cool concept, and they got a lot of big artists to even former artists, because like Glassjaw wasn't on Roadrunner at this time. It's kind of cool that they came back for it, even though they had problems with Roadrunner in the past.
That's a good lens to put this through. Like, what era of the band, or around, if it's a supergroup, it's a different story, but what era of the band would this have fit with record, right? Like, we just did that with the Blink song.
Yeah.
And we did that with the Chili Pepper song. Yeah, it's...
And the Rage song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it fits. Like, it's a fun way to... And I wasn't doing that when I was pulling my song, so... Yeah. Now this segment has taken on a whole new life to me. Like, man, where could that have gone? Like, that's exciting stuff too. Like, and that's what nerds do. That's maybe we're slowly getting our nerd cards back here.
I know. Mine was revoked.
I think we're getting them back. They're in the mail. Snail mail.
For all of 30 minutes.
Yeah. All right, Nate, you got another one?
I got a bunch.
Right.
This one goes into the theme that you were just mentioning, which is fitting that era. I feel like this is probably a B-side. I mean, it was definitely released after the album that it fits. The song is Crowded Elevator by Incubus. It was on, what was it on? I think it was like on an acoustic EP or something. Secret song.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to like dig to find it in the first place. But everything about the progression of the song is sweet. It's very Make Yourself era is what I was getting at. And I always thought this would be a proper song. It should have been on Make Yourself, actually, now that I think about it. Like, it'd be a good like mid-closing, maybe second to last song type fit. But I think it's one of their best songs. And like, they never play it live. I think they played it live like once. It's just like that era of Incubus that we were all like super fans, like, oh man, this band's so cool, like so unique, so many different sounds. And I remember the first time I heard this song, it's like that same situation where you're like, wait a second, I haven't heard this. Wait, why is this not like on a proper release? Or why don't they ever play this? All those same questions I just kind of, going through. Yeah, I love this song. And I actually I haven't played it, up until today in years, just because of that accessibility. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot that this is even out there. So cool exercise just based on that, like rediscovering old gems like that.
Totally. That was my favorite part about doing this was like, oh man, that song. I haven't played that song in 15, 20 years, and it's because it's not on an album. And I've played albums by this band numerous times in that time frame, but haven't been able to put this song on because it didn't fit into that mold, or a vinyl record where it isn't on one of those. So, two things there, Nate. You're right. They should just release them on vinyl for Record Store Day, and B, let's shine a light on these songs because they're awesome. And like, hey guys, just put this stuff out. We want to hear it. It's awesome.
Yeah, this was when Incubus Attacks.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
which was an acoustic album, right?
I believe it was. Yeah, because it was Pardon Me, Stellar. So you're right. It was probably that Make Yourself recording session, and it fits that. And I know the song by name. Was this a slower song?
It is slower.
Kind of a spacey song. Okay, yeah. I can't. Once I hear it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah, it's slow, not ballad slow. It's slow just in terms of tempo, I guess you'd say. But it's a rock song. It's definitely like a loud song. It's just not fast. Like, it's definitely not science. Like, it fits Make Yourself in every aspect of the word. But yeah, cool gem. I love that album. I remember picking that EP at Bull Moose for like $6. I was like, oh, acoustic songs plus this secret song, plus I think there's a live track on there too or something.
And I mean, we deep dove Make Yourself back in the 30s of our episodes, so a while back now, last fall, summer, and that EP came up, and we were trying to put together like a live version of Make Yourself and like a reimagined version. We did that, so go listen to that. We deep dove on Incubus there, and they're awesome. They're an underrated band, I think, at this point, right? Like, they continue to put stuff out today that I probably should give more time to, because I've always liked them, and like it just has fallen off for me. But man, when they were hot, they were hot. They were on.
I'm gonna piggyback on that. In fact, we talked about Crow Left of the Murder 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Nate, you made a post with the Here in My Room song.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great song. That's
So
a
good.
really good song.
Yeah.
I never heard it until you posted that.
Well, we posted it on Reddit, and like everybody's like, "No, what are you talking about? This album's great." Like, well, we know it's great. We just didn't think it got the love that some of the other albums did. So,
yeah,
that's a segment down the road. We've talked about it. Reading Reddit comments, that might happen.
Yeah.
So trivia, what
Ooh, I like
soundtrack was Crowded Elevator on?
Give me
Wow.
the year.
I did not know it was on the soundtrack, to be honest.
What year?
Man, my nerd card's
2000.
taken.
Horror movie in that lane.
Oh, I do know it.
Scream 2.
Scream 3.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, really? Fuck.
What were you gonna say, Nate? I know you did last summer.
I was gonna say the Little Nicky soundtrack, because they had a ton of like
Yeah,
bands
there's
from that era.
POD. Yeah.
Like Deftones and stuff. Yeah.
Deftones, yeah.
Scream 3. I was close.
You were very close. I was like, if you know that, dude, I don't know. And I didn't know it. I just happened to look it up.
Nice. All right. Nate, you got one?
Another one?
No, that was you. Oh, shit.
I'll go again.
Good
it's
one.
It's late on the East Coast, ladies and gentlemen. We will leave that in. Tone fucked up, and we're going to leave that one in. I think it's my turn, isn't it? Oh, shit. Okay, so I have a couple things here that I want to do. Man, I want to do all of them, but we can't do this all night. The one I'm going to throw at you guys, and we just kind of half talked about it. You guys are familiar with the Sound City documentary, right?
Yep.
Just from you.
Yeah, and Nate, I think we watched it. I think I bought it and we watched it at Rob's before you moved. So
Oh yeah. Yep.
yeah, and the soundtrack that they put together, that Dave Grohl and company put together, is awesome. The song Mantra, Dave Grohl, Trent Reznor, Josh Homme. I want a whole album of that right now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Plug that into my veins. I'm happy. I'm in the headphones, and I'm just gonna zone out to that. Like, that's what I want. I want that album tomorrow, yesterday. Like, make it happen.
Do you have more to add? Or?
No, that's it. I listened to it today in my car ride home from work, and I'm thinking to myself, why have they not? I mean, they've collaborated. Okay, so Dave Grohl was on the drums for "You Know What You Are" on with Teeth for Trent Reznor for Nine Inch Nails, and then obviously he played drums on Songs for the Deaf. So he's collaborated with both of those guys throughout the years, and then they all get together in a room and make this song. And I'm like, fuck, man, like, why can't we get a whole album of this? Like, I just want you guys to collaborate together, just bounce. I want a documentary on it. I want the whole friggin' shebang. Like, let's make this happen. The three of them are just, they're people that I've listened to music from for 25 years, and I want them to do stuff together. Like that's the thing that I want. I want a 12-song album from them yesterday.
So question for you from someone who has not heard this song. So you have someone from a high energy rock band, you have someone from a desert rock band, you have someone from a electronic experiment, industrial, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
What album would this fit the best on out of any one of their catalogs?
That's tough.
I don't know
Nate,
what
you've
direction
listened
they
to the
go
song,
in.
right? Like I think you start very Foo Fighters-y, and in the middle you get a little Queen's desert rocky, and at the end is Reznor all day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the Slip era Reznor, or even with Teeth era Reznor, and then just I don't know, not era Vulgaris, maybe the one after, or maybe the one before, maybe Lullabies era Homie, because it's
I think era.
Yeah, in that area, right?
Yeah.
And then just Sonic Highways Grohl, because he's collaborating in different city type deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect hybrid of all three of their sounds. And I wonder, like when you mentioned that, I wonder if it came up, if like Josh and Trent are asking Dave, and Dave's like, man, I got like, so many other things going. I got Probot, Cricket Vultures, Foo Fighters, like Nirvana randomly reunites once in a while. Like I just don't have the time. And maybe the other guys were like, well, shit, that sucks, because we'd be down right now. Because the cool thing about that documentary is it shows them, literally putting that song together.
Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like that could have continued. I mean, they definitely captured lightning in a bottle with that song alone. And to be able to do it that, I mean, they make it look so easy. It's like watching a professional big wave surfer. You're like, how do you just do that? It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
That's a great way to put it. They do make it look easy. It sounds great. And there really isn't one person who takes over the song. Like they all have their bit parts that make the whole thing so much better than just the sum. And the sum is, or the pieces are great. But putting it all together, it's just so good.
Yeah, supergroups are just so interesting because the way you describe that, it's almost like each one of them had their piece of the pie. Where I don't know, we had someone, I forget what interview we had. We interviewed someone, and you guys will probably know, but they were just like, you never know what you're going to get when you get four people in a room, and it's like the sum of the parts. Where did that come up? I can't remember.
Oh, man, that's a great question.
It almost sounds like this was more segmented, like each one of, okay, here's your minute, here's my minute, here's your minute.
But it flows so well. Like they found a way to make it flow so well, and it's close to I think it's a 6.5, 7 minute song, so they each get a couple minutes. Which, to hold your attention like that, it needs to be good. If it's going to be 6.5, 7 minutes, it needs to be good.
Well, and that's the thing is that crew is not going to put out trash, especially if all three of their names are on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to answer my own question from earlier too. I bet Josh and Dave probably were on board to actually make a full album. And I have a feeling that Trent was like, nope, sorry. I'm not doing Tapeworm. I'm not doing.
Well, he's making Oscar-winning scores, so he's probably just happy with that.
Yeah, and Nails, and How to Destroy Angels, and yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when was the last How to Destroy Angels? When was the last Nails? I mean, the Bad Witch came out, yeah. So he's done some EPs on the Nails side for sure.
Another one I haven't listened to, which the way you described it, I'm probably most excited to listen to that out of any of the ones I hadn't heard yet.
You will like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say similar to my Chili Peppers pick. It's gonna put you in like a trance. This song will put you into a trance. It's different than Chili Peppers. Yep. It'll definitely it'll pause time for a second.
Well, if you know what a mantra is like something you say over and over again in meditation.
Yep.
Where it's centering, it brings you back to where you're trying to be. This song is that. Like there are repetitions, but they fit and they work, and you're like they build towards this climax. It's so good.
Yeah. Now I have to say one more thing. Speaking of which era for Nails, it's definitely Social Network era, like in terms of that like vibe and that sound, or at least Reznor's part for the song.
In timing wise, that kind of checks out, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years after Social Network. I think that was what mid to late 2000s, early.
I think late 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, and this came out in, I want to say like 2011 or 12. So
nice.
I think it's you, Twan, but I could be wrong. I
Round three? Is it me? Do I get two? Is it like a snake draft? Nate goes twice?
Yeah. No, you're up, Twan.
All right. Like all of them, I'll tease this one. Early 2000s I'm not going to say pop punk band, but pop punk adjacent. The frontman went on to do bigger things. He is the centerpiece. There's some piano in the mix.
Andrew McMahon, something corporate.
McMahon. Wow. Tone
Nice.
is on one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I had to make up for the fuck up I just had.
So yeah, something corporate. Drive Through Records, early 2000s. They had a 9-minute epic. It's their ballad. It's their piano song. It's largely Andrew. The full band comes in at the end. Constantine with a K. Constantine. Do you guys remember this one?
Yes. Yep.
Just a beautiful song. I listened to it a couple times today, and I was like, "Damn, this is not the only reason, but this is one of the reasons I really loved them." So, kind of to set the stage, they come out with the Leaving Through the Window, their kind of breakthrough album on Drive Through in 2002. This song comes out in summer 03. It's like a live favorite. It comes out the recorded version. It's a live favorite because Andrew, 9 minutes of him in front of a piano. Everyone loves it.
He's in.
Yeah, I'm in. He's in. Their next album, North, comes out, and everyone's like, "Well, we're gonna get it. It's gonna be recorded on that album." It's not on it. It ends up coming out on a Japanese version of some EP or something. They only did it on that, but there's a recorded version of it, and it still holds up. He is super selective about playing it. Like for a while, he wasn't playing it, but I guess I did some research. He last played it like 10 years ago or something with.
Wow.
Was it Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness or?
Yeah, that's the band he's running now. Yep.
I think he did it, and the crowd went apeshit. But oh my god, have you heard this, Nate?
I don't think so, but similar to one of the other ones, I feel like if I heard it, I might have, like the Darkness Rage one. I feel like maybe it was another one of those downloads, or I have it somewhere. I just haven't heard it.
It's got Jimmy Eat World in the lyrics, so bonus points there.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
But this is one that it would have moved units. Like, they did well, but you throw this on an album. I don't know why it wasn't on that North album. I don't know why. I'd love to. Maybe he'll come on the podcast and explain it, and we'll be like, man, I feel like an asshole for asking. Yeah.
I haven't heard the song in years, but I want to know now because I remember it being like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I'm definitely, my wheels are turning. Like, how do we make this happen? How do we get this story? Because I want to know the answer.
It's only one way to find out.
No, there's plenty of ways I'm going to ask him. I just don't know how he's going to answer, if he answers at all. So, shit, this is a good call, Twan. And I'm excited to go back and listen to this one. You guys, like, full disclosure, everybody listening, anybody listening, we do this because it also helps bring stuff back up that none of us have listened to or thought about in years. And I love going back through my catalog of music and being like, wow, I forgot that I had that. And then getting yours, Anthony, and yours, Nate, on top of the fact that I get my own, like, this is just badass. So, like, this is a song I never would have thought of until today. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Good call. Yeah, it's like personal collection record store searching. It's like, oh, I actually have this, but it's buried somewhere in my boxes of random shit. Another thing I was thinking of that you mentioned, Twan, is I wonder if there's some, like, I don't know, psychological complex to, oh, this song is such a gem that I'm only going to bring it out once in a while in a live show because I want to keep it sacred. There's got to be something to be said about that, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it's literally like, I never play it because I forget about it or whatever it is. But it's another way to keep the song, like, very, very special if you play it like once every decade.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the lyrics, it's like made for 16, 17-year-old me, which I think that's what it was. But yeah, I assume the lyrics are pretty personal for him, and he just for whatever reason didn't play it for a while. And something corporate in the grand scheme of things wasn't around that long anyway. But I think the demand was there that he played it with his other projects in, kind of spotty. But
so if the demand was there, like, put it out there, man.
Right. Yeah.
And you recorded it, like,
and it's on there, like, I think they had like not a greatest hits, or might be like a
career spanning.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And it made it on that, but the recorded version is beautiful. Check it out, Nate.
Good call.
Yeah, I'm gonna scoop that up. Find it on a demo CD somewhere in my. Actually, you guys probably have it in the boxes in your house right now.
Honestly, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate, what you got? It is your turn, right?
Yep.
It's Nate's turn. I didn't want to say anything. I was afraid Yeah, Nate, you're up.
everyone's sober. It's just really late. So this one, I remember the second it came out, the day it came out, and thinking it was a full-on banger and wondering why this wasn't on a proper release. But kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, this was on a greatest hits album and kind of a farewell album, actually, I think, at least for an era for the band. It was called The All in the Suit That You Wear by Stone Temple Pilots. Mm-hmm. It was the lead single off the greatest hits album. And I freaking love this song. It's everything about it's just, I mean, it's full on Stone Temple Pilots in their heyday. I'd say like number 4 era, maybe. And just everything about the song progression and lyrics and even the name of the song. Like he was big into fashion in this like particular time, Scott Weiland. And I feel like it was on the radio and then it was off and they broke up and it was just, you know, everything dissipated. And I was like, oh shit, like way to put out a greatest hits album and like put the song out, which could almost like jumpstart your career on a second phase, you know? But obviously Scott was dealing with issues and it is what it is. But I love this song and I heard it again today, literally for the first time in probably, I don't even know, 10 years, a long time. So talk about the something corporate thing. Like I personally haven't heard this song, haven't played this for myself in a very long time, but I remember why Stone Temple Pilots were true greatness because they would write songs like this that were, you know, as much as people say they ripped off so many different other bands in that era, like they definitely had their own sound. Scott definitely had his own thing going on.
For sure.
And this song showcases their true ability.
This is a great song, and it's another song that I haven't thought of in years. And I feel like Nate, you and I I'm like inhabiting your brain tonight a little bit. My thought here is this band doesn't, I'm looking big picture. This band doesn't get the due that it probably deserves now. It did in the moment for sure. They're massive. They had multiple records that were just huge hits, radio hits. You heard them everywhere. You saw them everywhere. But obviously, how many years has it been since Scott's passed? 5, 6? I think in that, the last, 10 to 15 years of him being kind of a mess, it's lost how great this band was.
Totally. And
people don't see it or hear it or realize it. I was watching Jeopardy the other night. This is just a random aside. And the song Interstate Love Song was a question for an answer. And nobody knew it was Stone Temple Pilots. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that song is amazing and massive. And how does nobody know what is going on here? And I kind of felt my age a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, no, this is because they've, the rocky end of the band because of what happened with Scott and his addictions and stuff like that. So, I'm looking at it big picture wise. But this is a great song and a great call. And more people should be celebrating what Stone Temple Pilots did when they were on because they were fucking great.
So, Nate, you picked STP. Tone, you saw STP on Jeopardy.
Yep.
Not 2 hours ago, my wife and I are just getting ready. She's getting ready for bed. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. I start singing the intro to Dead and Bloated. I am. And I'm telling you, I must have saw something on my phone. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, do you know that song? And she's like, I think so. So I play it. And she was like, well, you don't need to play it for me. Like, and then
yes,
the second time around when he takes it up an octave, I am.
Yeah.
Without the voice crack. But I have a hot take about that song, which I'll save for another time. I don't know the song. Would you say it's All in the Suit You Wear?
Yeah.
All in the Suit That You Wear, yeah.
So what era STP is this? Because I
was thinking number 4 era. But I could be wrong. What was the song? What was the album after? Shangri-La. Might be kind of in between those two, which I think actually Greatest Hits came out after.
So right around there, yeah.
Shangri-La, yeah. So it might have been in those writing sessions. But regardless, it was like you said, Tony, it was like when they were, it was a full band. Scott was still in the band. They were super tight. Yeah, I think you nailed it, Tony. Unfortunately, they lost a lot of their face value based on those those issues with Scott. It's like, it's hard to take a band seriously when they're failing. And it's really just, unfortunately, it was just Scott. Like the band has always been tight. So you have this guy like not performing, even though they were known to be like this powerhouse live band that was like amazing to see live. And then to see him kind of crumble, you're like, so then it kind of almost takes away from like this masterpiece or these masterpiece albums. And even this song, it's like, I don't know, had another. I think you kind of nailed it, but it's almost like a really good actor that had like 3 bad movies, and you're like, you almost like forget about all the great stuff before it. It's like, no, he's actually really good, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. They got into some trouble with the law or whatever. Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Like not everyone rebounds like Robert Downey Jr. and becomes a megastar a second time.
I was just gonna bring him up
Iron
before
Man,
he
yeah.
made his return. Yep.
Yeah.
He was written off.
No, they were tight. They were always tight. And even, I mean, Nate, when we saw them, we've talked about it on this pod before, but when we saw them about 10 years ago at Hampton Beach, they were fucking awesome because Scott was clean. And then we talked about seeing Scott with his band in Portland a couple of years later, and he was a mess.
Yeah.
It was like, man, this is like, I will never forget that night. I remember that entire evening, like every beat of that night, and being so bummed that he was a mess because I was like, damn, last time I saw these guys, or I saw him with STP, they were so good. So I think it does not taint it, because obviously the music's still great and it didn't go anywhere, but like people have maybe put it on the shelf because of that. And they just, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. It's got a negative connotation associated with it. So it's no longer like, because it used to be like rock and roll is what it is, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like it is kind of a cliche. But when you actually see like the aftermath or the effect of that firsthand, like we did at the asylum in Portland, it was like, oh, like it's not like glamorous. Like it's not fun anymore, because you're actually like, this isn't a good show because of it. Like you're actually degrading what is great because you went overboard, man, overboard. You know, like you did too much. You just went too far. So, and he actually got kicked out of the band during that tour. So, you know, sometimes you wonder, like, how could you kick Scott out, or how could you, you know, kick someone out of a band? Like, how are you going to continue? But obviously they saw what we saw way before, and they were like, yeah, we literally can't perform with this guy. I wish we could.
And for years, right? Yeah. I mean, off and on for years.
Yeah. So this is becoming like a Stone Temple Pilots deep dive. We should probably save this.
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, good call on bringing them up, because that's a great song. And what we're trying to convey here is that they're a great fucking band, and go listen to their music because they're a great fucking band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Underrated. They're often not in that grunge, alt rock, Rushmore conversation at all, but we'll save that. Yep. That's an episode.
Probably should be.
Yeah.
Is it me? I think it's me. All right. So I had grand ideas for part of this segment, but I think we save it because it's actually it might be a good full-on segment. So I'm gonna leave that alone.
Now I'm curious.
I know. All right. So I'm gonna give you. We don't talk enough hip hop on this podcast. I've got a couple hip hop songs. I could go underground or mainstream, and I'll give you both. But I'll go into detail on one. You guys pick. Tone's Ultimatums. That's what this is called.
My vote is for deep dive on the mainstream one.
Okay.
What do you think, Nate? You have veto power, so go ahead.
Well, no, I chose the last ultimatum, Tone Ultimatum. So I'm down with this one. Or mainstream, yeah.
All right. From the Friday soundtrack. Massive mainstream rapper. Also massive mainstream producer. Has found the likes of some of the biggest rap names.
Dre.
And produced some of this. Yeah, you know. Who is it?
Dre?
Yeah, it's Dre.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you the first time. Dr. Dre, Keep the Heads Ringing from the Friday soundtrack.
Oh, wow. Nice. I guess I didn't realize it was on that.
It's a banger Dr. Dre song. It's lyrically, I listened to it today on my ride to work, and I was like, some of this stuff may not fly today just cuz, but at the same time, I was like, damn, this song is a fucking banger. The beat's great. He's just got flow for days. Like, it's Dre at the peak of his powers. When did Friday come out? Mid-90s?
Yeah. 93 and 4
yeah,
maybe.
So after the Chronic, right? He's in between the Chronic and the Chronic 2001, which came out in 99. It's just a great Dr. Dre song. Like, and it's just Dre. There's no features, there's no nothing. I mean, he's king of being on songs with other people. And it's just straight up Dr. Dre, 3 verses, somebody singing the hook. It's a badass beat. It's full on mid-90s rap. Like, and Friday's an all-time movie. So we don't talk enough hip hop. Here you go. Friday, Dr. Dre, Keep the Heads Ringing.
So I haven't looked it up, but this was, I think, also on that Aftermath Presents album.
Yeah,
Dre
probably.
Did,
yeah.
With like, it had the explosion on the cover. I think it was on that because there was one. In my head I associate this song with that album. I didn't know it was on Friday.
Yeah, that's where I found it. It was Friday. I was like, shit, that's a Dre song that I haven't listened to in forever. And I remember listening to this on my headphones in my dad's basement when I was, I don't know, 10. And I probably shouldn't have had it. I don't know how I pulled off that I had it, especially at my dad's back then. Damn, like the fact that I was able to listen to that, you know, he was like, go play in the basement. I was like, cool. I got toys and a basketball hoop and shit down there. Now I'm listening to Dr. Dre because that's what nerds do.
Man, I think this is another one of those songs that I've probably heard, but kind of like a face to the name thing. I feel like I'd have to hear it and it would probably bring back all sorts of memories associated with it, but I can't think of it right now. It's obviously on the movie soundtrack, so that's probably where I heard it first.
So I'm just doing some fact checking, and I think I must be thinking of a different song. There was a song that.
So do neither of you guys know this song?
Oh, I know the song. Oh, yeah,
okay.
a classic song.
All right, good.
So you don't know
I
it?
was
Nate?
worried.
For some reason, I don't know it by name, but I feel like I would if I just heard. We can't play any clips on the pod, unfortunately.
Ring ding dong. Ring ding 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 dong.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
come on.
the heads ringing.
Okay. I just needed one little.
I could rap some of it, but not all of it because I don't want to get canceled.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yes, I know this song. No, I think I want to say we heard this at we played this at school dances, middle school too.
That might have happened. Yeah, that might have happened.
That's where we got away with stuff as a nerd. Tell the DJ upstairs on the basketball court, like, hey, can you play this? Sure. All right, cool. Sweet.
Wow, there's a lot of F-bombs and other words in this that I shouldn't be playing in front of 7th graders.
So the song the song that was actually on the Aftermath Presents was that "Been There, Done That, Yo, I Got Guns," that song.
Yep.
And that would be that fits this too because it was just on that
totally.
and wasn't on. But I didn't know "Keep the Heads Ringing" was on Friday. Great song. That's another one I'm excited to listen to.
I know. I was driving through downtown Southern Maine today, and I was like, I should probably roll the windows up. Like, I just don't look the part, you know. Like I don't want anybody to like think that I'm doing anything I shouldn't be doing. And that's a funny. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but like, not a world I would have lived in 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Like worried about what people are thinking I'm listening to and judging that piece of it.
Yep.
Good music is good music is good music, and if it came from 25 years ago and maybe doesn't fit through today's lens, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's terrible for doing it. So like, I'm just happy that the song was cool and I get to hear it again. And I was like, all right, some of this stuff necessarily wouldn't fit today, and I'm fine with that. I'm not going to play it every day, but it fit this exercise.
You know what it makes me wish is there was a middle album between Chronic. Because this was a small sample size of that. And then Been There, Done That was 96. And that was like, those are, as far as I know, those are, unless we're talking like features, those are the only 2 songs of his that got any legs in that era, which is, man, because we know what came after Chronic 2001. It was just okay stuff. But man. So
it makes me think, like we've talked about bands like Tool who take a long time between records, and there's a number of bands that do that. That just their process is going to take them some time, and no one ever thinks about that with hip hop. But like, I think that's just the way Dre operated. And you know, he had the Chronic, which was massive, and then he had the Chronic 2001, which was massive, and like he was fine doing some stuff here and there, one-offs here and there. Obviously, I think Compton was something that needed to happen for him just to put something out. But like, you go from 92 or 3 when the Chronic came out to 99, like there's nobody better producing and or putting out music in the rap game. And he just needed that extra time to make that work. And people think rap is quick, and rap is quick today. Like, stuff gets put out so fast. But back then, maybe it took some time. You needed some time for it to be good.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that takes his time. I mean, you can tell with 2001. I mean, it's definitely a front to back for a reason. It kind of flows together. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. Like, if he put out an album in the middle, it would have been like the Evil Empire era, right? For Dre, he could have put out something. He probably just scrapped it, and then 6 years went by.
And then we get 2001, which is, you know, absolute knockdown, drag out classic. So it worked out.
Worth the wait.
Yeah.
Actually, Nate, that's a perfect analogy because the years align with the Rage comparison.
Oh, for 96?
Well, probably 92 for the Chronic, and then 99 for Chronic 2001. That aligns with Self-Titled and Battle of LA. I want Dre's Evil Empire. God damn it.
I wish we could. We can't go back, but there was probably some awesome stuff in that time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably one that has masters just in his office, just chilling. Like, oh, perfect full length albums if he just combined. What if we could go in there and choose them?
Or he produced beats that were fucking iconic and gave them to Tupac and gave them to Snoop and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Think of California Love. How great is Dre's verse on California Love?
Oh yeah,
That's his evil
sample.
empire. That's his evil empire right there. 96.
That's another sample of that. What could have been.
Yeah.
What it was a little bit, but what could have been.
I'm happy we got that though.
Yep.
The Great Below, right? Is it The Great Below?
Yeah, he's on. No, it's not The Great Below. It's Even Deeper.
Even Deeper, yeah.
He's on Even Deeper on Nine Inch Nails, The Fragile in '99, which is
that beat's sweet.
Yeah, it's Dre, and that's
Dre.
a little known nerd fact right there.
Yeah.
Well, I learned something new tonight.
Did you not know?
No.
Oh yeah, he's a producer on Even Deeper on The Fragile from Nine Inch Nails.
Wow.
Which dropped in. That was in '99 too.
'99,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
99.
Dude was busy. Like he
always.
Some people might have thought he went away for a bit, but no, he was always hustling. I'm sure.
We found Eminem around then too, right? I mean, He was 99 was a good year for Dre.
Oh my god, yeah. That's probably what it was. We think we just answered our own question again. Like he literally was too busy to put out his own stuff. You can't be in two places at the same time. So he's like, I'm going to do this, make all my money, eventually put out a headphone company, sell that. Luckily, he's still with us. I mean, he almost passed away last year.
He had a stroke, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He's an icon, and we're happy that he's still kicking around for us. Maybe we'll get Detox in 2022.
Or Compton 2025 or something.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do this segment again because, we were talking about how we have to search for these songs. It's not convenient to just have it on an album. But now with the playlist, like these will all be consolidated.
Yep.
On one playlist. So
yeah. That's part of the reason I steered clear of one of the other things because I can't find it anywhere. And I was like, damn it. This is something that I had on CD. And it's a different story for a different day. But I was bummed I couldn't find it. Yeah. So these ones we'll all be able to find. These are classics.
I don't know if you'll be able to find Leverage of Space by Chili Peppers. Maybe.
The live version, maybe.
Yeah. I couldn't find it on Spotify, but crazy. Do we want to do one more? Nah. Save them?
Nah.
I think that's probably going to do it.
Yeah, that should do it.
Yeah, we could go all night. I think
we could go all night.
Yeah. And Nate, you said you had 9 of them. Yeah. I think that's probably a good place to stop right here.
Yep. We'll do this one again because this is a great segment because it dusts off some of those old songs that are in your library that you didn't even realize you had and you haven't listened to in years because they were of a time and a place.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it. That was a fun one. As always, hit us up if you think of ones that you'd like to maybe have us chat about in the next time we do this, or that you just like, some hidden gems that didn't get that light that you want to hear us, kind of chat about. So appreciate it, guys. We'll see everyone next week. Socials, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe. See ya.
Peace, podheads.
Cheers, Pod Nation.